Welcome to the Paul Fletcher International Racing Circuit, the only track of its kind built here in Britain. And the paddock is packed for a brand new event on the karting calendar. This is Kart Masters 96, and the best of up-and-coming British racing talent is here for a showdown unlike any other. Well, the whole event and the circuit is the brainchild of one man, a man who rose through the ranks to compete at the highest international level. And now he wants to see young British drivers given the best chance to take on the best in the world. Our man trackside, Tony Delahunty, caught up with him.
Well, I've been thinking about it for about 20 years, but we started building it 2 years ago. So obviously 18 years of research went into it. But yes, it's come to fruition now, and we're delighted.
You used to race yourself, you were a Great Britain karter. I mean, how does this circuit differ from the circuits that you raced on in England?
Well, they were very primitive in the early days, but they certainly have got much better all over. In Europe, they're very good, but I think this one tops even the best in Europe.
And what about the entry for this meeting? I mean, you've got some of the top guys around, in fact, all of the top guys and a few of the top girls as well.
That's right. I think we're very pleased because this is a one-off meeting. It's not a British Championship meeting, it is a one-off cup final type meeting, and all the top ones have come, which means that this has got a status now.
Now, we're going to be watching a lot of kart racing over the next hour or so, so can you tell us, while we're watching it, what we're going to see as far as the future is concerned of motor racing out there?
Well, yes, if you kept a programme, or if you can remember the names that are here today, I'm sure you'd get them in Grand Prix racing within 10 years. You'll have a lot of these juniors on the Formula One grids in 10 years' time.
So, a lot of future superstars to look out for. But first, to give you a taste of what this circuit is all about, earlier we did a lap from driver's eye level. We'll be following drivers at both ends of the age range today, but at any age, it's the team behind the drivers that really counts. Back with Tony on trackside.
How much do you worry when he's out there?
I don't worry so much about him having an accident anymore. I've got a lot of confidence in Lewis now, but it's just very nerve-wracking.
You go through every emotion known, do you?
Yes, yeah.
What's it like when he wins?
Wonderful.
He's jumping up and down in the stands.
Can you see her jumping up and down when you're going past? What about Dad? What's he like? Let's say you had a bad day, Lewis. What's Dad like then?
His head's through the because he's jumping too much in the grandstand. His head's going through the roof.
Well, maybe the start of the road to Formula One for young Lewis Hamilton, the British champion. But this man wants to beat him. Young Chris Rogers, number 9. 91, Paul Darista. Also very quick, as is 22, Edward Tilley. Very competitive, this 60cc racing. This man is 2, from Crewe. It's Andrew Twiss. 54, Richard Miles. A fast-coming young cadet karter. All are very competitive. As is Evan Hopkins, looking for victory in this one. The man they want to beat right at the front. There he is, Lewis Hamilton, the British champion from the year previous. And this race, of course, will decide the positions for the grand final later. Hamilton makes the early break, but Rogers is through. Hamilton, in fact, has dropped to 3rd. So Rogers with the lead. He's being pressed by Edward Tilley. They might be small, but they've got hearts of lions, these guys. Tilley looking to try and take the lead. So we've got a new leader in Edward Tilley. Has Hamilton gone through? Yes, he has. Rogers demoted to 3rd. And 4th briefly there was Richard Miles. Now it's Hamilton again. Rogers right behind him. Still Hamilton. And Chris Rogers, perhaps one of the biggest challengers for the crown of Lewis Hamilton in this year's Cadet Championship. And these guys really make these 60cc karts buzz. Hamilton. Rogers looking down the inside, lead that braking late, and that forces Hamilton back 2-3 places. Also through there to third place, Richard Miles. Now Tilley having a look. Hamilton now back in fourth. Rogers has the lead. Still Rogers. Is he going to make a little bit of a break? Richard Miles in second place now, and just look at the gaggle behind them. This is Rogers. Super quick. So too is Hamilton. Still Rogers. Hamilton trying to break away from those behind him. And now Hamilton back up again. Now watch this move, classic. Looking down the inside, claims the corner, goes through. 91, Paul de Rista tries to go through with him. And there is Hamilton. Superb lunge down the inside. Rogers in second. De Rista up there in third. And starting to have a look was Evan Hopkins. Hopkins now in fourth. Very much a fast-coming man, young Evan Hopkins, but it's still Lewis Hamilton, the British #1, the man who aims to be. Rogers behind him. This Trent Valley circuit of PF International proving a superb backlog to these boys. Quick look over the shoulder from Lewis Hamilton. Some say that's a mistake, others say he's picking his position. Rogers is just watching and maybe choosing the moment to pounce. Down the start and finish straight. This time, it's Rogers for the inside. Hamilton around the outside. Can he hold? No, he can't hold off Rogers. And 88, Evan Hopkins looking like making the break. Four of them, you could cover them with a postage stamp. 8 to 12-year-olds. Don't bank on not seeing any of these names in Formula One. This is the slow-mo again of Hamilton. There, 91, just behind, having a look. That's Paul de Rista. Hamilton slamming the door shut. Rogers is on the outside. Hamilton able to make a little bit of a break, and now it's Rogers again. Hamilton, de Rista's in there. So too is Evan Hopkins. Shove a blanket over them. And Hamilton now looks for the inside. Hamilton gets it. Rogers just behind. Can you bet on who's going to win this one? And this is only the pre-final. Hamilton again. Edward Tilley still in with the chase. And that's in fifth spot for him. De Rista. But it's still Rogers having a look. And he's got it. Still Hamilton in behind him. And I bet the lap charters are having some fun with this one because it's change and change again. Evan Hopkins is definitely very much on the pace today. And Hamilton now, well, not content to stay behind Rogers, but that's where he's got to be for the moment. Last lap sign. Anybody's guess. Hamilton wants it. Evan Hopkins comes up against Rogers. Hopkins goes wide. That gives Hamilton the chance to break away a little bit. But Evan Hopkins is still there. Rogers has dropped back to third, or will he be fourth? No, he still has third. He's very focused, is Lewis Hamilton. He's got great track craft. Young man from Stevenage. But Evan Hopkins on the chase, and Evan Hopkins right behind him now. Has Hopkins got a bit left in him? Hamilton looking for the inside, but Hopkins has gone down the outside and still tucks in there. And Hopkins is going to get there. He's going to go through. Rogers tries to go through. Little wheel banging and tapping. But now, Evan Hopkins for the first time has the lead. Can he keep it? And he is the first final. Oh, by a wheel. They both put their hands in the air. But the timekeeper and the computer tells us Evan Hopkins wins the cadet final. And what a race. Let's look at that moment again. There's Hamilton. Evan Hopkins appears to be not wide. The two come together. Over the shoulder, Hamilton has a look. He must feel he's got it now. But then almost immediately, Evan Hopkins maybe going wide was an advantage. Powers on. They come up to the next corner. Hamilton still has that, but runs a little bit wide. Hopkins keeps it tight. Oh, what good control. Hamilton can't do a lot about it because by that time, the ever competitive Chris Rogers is also there. What a cracker.
Well, all I've got to do is just try and keep ahead of Lewis and Chris and all the rest. It was a good race in that last one, just got to do what I did in that one.
You left it almost till the very last corner, didn't you? I mean, are you one of these guys who usually clinches it right at the end?
Well, no, I just thought because Lewis went over the other side of the circuit, I went over the other side. And he went wide coming into the S's at the very end and I just slipped through.
Gonna win it?
I'll try.
Welcome back to Brandon near Newark for Kartmasters 96. Now, if you thought karting was a pretty basic sport, you'd be wrong. Hidden deep in the tents of the paddock are machines that make this the cutting edge of technology as much as any other form of racing, as we found out when we visited the camp of former world champion Martin Hines.
So our speed doesn't drop down. Because obviously we're looking, you know, as soon as you come off the throttle. Right. We're coming up the straight now and we're going to go round the top right-hand corner. We're coming round here, right, so here we're coming around. We've eased off for the top corner now. And then we're going to come right the way back now. If we can get our power on early here, we'll have more speed carried all the way down this straight, all the way down here, right into this hairpin. And the important thing is to carry the speed through that corner. And it's all getting one corner to flow with the next corner because we gradually carry the speed on through the corners. We go quicker down the straights. And at the end of the day, we end up winning the race, don't we, boys?
This is a fingerprint of the fuel that has been supplied for this event. This is telling us each component in the fuel and the percentage of that given component. What we do is we carry a trace out of a competitor's fuel after a race, just to confirm that the fingerprint of his fuel complies with the fuel that it was supplied with.
Well, earlier we saw the cadets. They're at the beginning of the karting tree. Now it's the supers. And this is the pinnacle of the sport. Who better to start with than Bobby Game, O'Neill Racing, sponsored by Paul Fletcher. Fletcher's Bakery. Simon Short. Very competitive. David O'Neill. Also O'Neill Racing, Tony Kart. Maybe one day in touring cars. Stuart Costera from Australia. Trevor Flynn, always there or thereabouts. Nick Jest, very competitive. Remember, how they finish here will decide the all-important positions on the grid for the final. And 41 with the early lead, Simon Short. 3 Bobby Game up there. Very experienced Bobby Game, not that old, very, very quick. And it's Bobby Game, the Fletcher's Bakery driver, already through. And now through, he's going to be hard to beat. Expect David O'Neill to try. for all he's worth, and O'Neill at the moment tucked in third position. The top boys in this formula compete in Europe, in the European Championship and in the World Championship. A stage that the first two here, Bobby Game and David O'Neill, are well familiar with. But O has a problem, Dean Panrucker. That's the British Open Championship plate, O in karting. But it's Game from O'Neill. And O'Neill loses it. Can he gain it up again? Goes off the track. Are they going to avoid him? Only just. And that really puts him out of the challenge. Coming across the circuit, hits the rumble strip. And there's almost no way out of that. And I think the chasing pack are very relieved not to collect David O'Neill. Meanwhile, all to the advantage of Bobby Game. Nobody gives in easy, and that's Trevor Flynn, number 30. Game again. Well, just previously in your picture for a moment, there's a man, I don't know where he's come from. It's Dylan Battiatini. By my records, he started right at the back of the grid. Now, that could be a bit of a tactic, meaning that he's on virtually completely new tyres, because Dylan Battiatini is on a drive. And Bobby Game's aware of him now. Closing stages it might be. And Game's got to keep that door closed. Meanwhile, Simon Short, well, it's well, he might finish, but that's modified by accident rather than by design. And there's Battiatini knocking on the door of Bobby Game. Well, Game gives nothing away. And Battiatini, doesn't he look determined? And this looks as if he's going to have the try now. Well, will the door shut? Well, no, it doesn't shut. And Battiatini's through, but I think he's going to run a little bit wide, and Bobby Game does too, because Bobby Game just keeps the power on. Nice run from Bobby Game, but now Battiatini knows he's that little bit quicker. And will he get him this time round? Game and Battiatini for the same corner. And this time, Battiatini on the pressure tyres manages to get the line. So Battiatini ahead of Bobby Game. Big question, can he hold it? Still Battiatini, this time Game with a lunge. And they don't come much better than that one, do they? I don't know whether Battiatini can get back on again. There's 30, Trevor Flynn, a bit of lunging, and David O'Neill has come back up to third place. And this is Bobby Game. And it's going Bobby Game's way now. Still only about 3 kart lengths in it. So Bobby Game from Dylan Battiatini. And nobody else really in the frame, just these two. And Battiatini doesn't seem to be able to get quite close enough to make the challenge like he did earlier. So maybe the tyres have equalised a little bit now. So there's the flag, and Bobby Game takes it, so he'll be pole in the final of Formula A. Let's relive the moment when Bobby Game got back into the lead, taking that inside line. Battiatini going well wide, forced well wide by the dive down that inside. So Game from Battiatini, from David O'Neill, Trevor Flynn in fourth.
Third, okay, David, but I think you've got plans on better things in the final.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. We're quicker, hopefully, than Bobby, so hopefully she'll be right.
What about this Battiatini fella?
I think his tyres are actually a bit knackered, so hopefully she'll be right.
So you think it's on for an O'Neill victory?
Yeah, hope so. Always positive.
So that was quite a drive. I mean, first couple of laps was unbelievable.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
What actually happened out there?
Well, I had a seize in the first heat, so we decided to save the tyres over the heat and save our last engine. And then we worked out that we'd be able to make a comeback in the final.
Well, you're in first, David's in third. Now the question comes into it, is the team orders?
No, it's a one-off meeting, so it's just basically go for it. Whoever wins, basically.
Now, tyres are going to come into play now, aren't they?
Yeah. In the last race, Battistini didn't do the heats, so he came out on brand new tyres, basically. We'd done 3 heats and worn the tyres, so he was quicker for part of the race, but then at the end, we were OK.
So you feel pretty confident about an O'Neill team victory?
Yeah, we've done some changes, and we'll see if they work.
Here at Kart Masters 96, just starting out in their careers, but also a lot of drivers of the older type. We join Donny Gelahunty somewhere in the paddock, catching up with them.
Well, with me now, former Le Mans winner Chris Hodgetts. One might think, first of all, Chris, that this is unlikely territory to find you in, but it all started this way, didn't it, for you?
Yes, it started for me. Well, I was 11. I'm not going to tell you which year it was, but yeah, I started in karts when I was 11. Father really put me into karting to get me off the streets, to give me an interest in life, which I thoroughly enjoy. And yes, motorsport for me started in karting, and it's done full circle. I'm back here again now.
Now, some of the names that you were racing against in your day would be who?
Oh, now we're going back. Nigel Mansell, for one, definitely. I remember him breaking his neck and his back up at Morecambe. A lot of names, Tony, really, but a lot of names that could have been successful in cars but didn't have the budget to maintain to be able to go through to cars. There's lads called Stephen South who went out to America and he was very, very successful in Can-Am cars. Quite a few of them, but it was later on, a few years later, that people started to progress properly from karting into motor racing.
Is this truly then a nursery of Formula One? I mean, there's 260 drivers we'll be seeing on the programme. I mean, will some of them make it all the way? I'm
sure that with the youngsters that you see today, whether they be in whichever formula, mainly from cadet and JICA, I would suggest at the moment, but certainly some of the JICA drivers that are here today, they will become household names. One or two or three, perhaps, maybe more, we don't know, but the standard of driving, the level of competitiveness in the British formula, I think exceeds what's in Europe at the moment. Unfortunately, they don't have the budget to go out to Europe to deal with the Europeans, but given a fair crack of the whip, yes, you're going to see some of the names at the top, definitely.
Good job of that. Nice bend.
Andy, you had some success as a rally driver. I know you won the Wintex, etc. What on earth brings you into the world of karting with your son?
Craig wants to go karting. I mean, it's as easy as that. He wants to go motor racing, and karting's the obvious way to start.
It's obviously a good way of starting to going motor racing, but what about those boys who may decide to go rallying? Is it a good grounding for rallying as well?
My number 2 son over there wants to be a rally driver, and he gets on the kart and he drives it sideways. This one tries to drive it nice and neat and tidy. He wants to be a racing driver.
Why have you decided you want to be a racing driver when your dad was a rally driver?
No, I just prefer the challenge to racing than rallying. I think racing's just got a bit more fun to it than rallying.
Don't think it's got as much fun, but I'm more involved in motor racing today than I am in rallying. Motor racing is my life, and it's the fine-tuning, finding that last tenth of a second. Now, I, as an engineer, can find that by playing with this, or playing with a Formula 3 car, or playing with a saloon car. In the forest, you change a car for somebody, and you don't know whether it's the driver or the car that's actually giving you the time. So from my point of view, I get much more pleasure from trying to make these things go quickly.
Martin, good afternoon. Is the young gentleman with you? Is this a future kart racer, do you think?
This is the next Donnelly on the way. Whether that's in karts, you'll have to ask his mother.
Well, I know that you obviously were involved very seriously and still are in motor racing, but I mean, how do you view things like this?
Obviously, you know, the way things are, we're involved in Vauxhall Junior. A lot of the young guys come in from Vauxhall to junior are coming from the likes of the meetings that we've got this weekend. Obviously, we're here. Our season's now in its last half. We're going to look at next year's up-and-coming young guys, and we're here this weekend to talk to them.
And plenty of them here, and as well as the cadets and seniors who are concentrating on 6 other classes racing this weekend. Race commentator Tony Delahunty brings us up together with the highlights from their finals.
So now it's the Junior TKM final. Well, that man up front made a declaration of intent, Michael Simpson, in the pre-final, and he led that by a country mile. I think it's going to be quite as easy this time. Certainly not for the bunch there. But it is Simpson with the lead. Simon Hathaway in second place. But Simpson, courtesy of a little bumping and banging off screen, has got away a little bit. And this man, who won, in fact, the B final, Ben Chandler in second place. He's off screen at the moment. But that's it, and that's how it finishes. Michael Simpson is the Junior TKM Kart Master. The man just in front of him, well, what a drive. Driver of the day, I'm sure. Ben Chandler, who came from winning the B final from second from the back of the grid, second row from the back of the grid to win. And now, this is Jicker, Junior Intercontinental of the Zip team, Gary Paffett, one of the Zip young guns. This is the pinnacle of the junior level of the sport. Mick Barrett racing with Danny Barrett. Colin Brown now doing most of his racing in Italy with the Burrell team. And away they go. And it's the man, Michael Spencer, who's still looking for his first victory in the Junior Intercontinental class, that goes out into the lead here. And everybody just about safely through. Certainly Michael Spencer is. He's being chased by Gary Paffett. And Paffett won't give in easily. That's Stuart Turvey gyrating. But this is Spencer, Paffett, and already up in the battle, Fraser Sheeder was up there. And Sheeder in third place as I speak. Oh, and they've gone over. That's Danny Barrett that's gone out. Fraser Sheeder and Danny Barrett, two of the most talented boys, certainly in this class. But away they go, and that was a very lucky Fraser Sheeder. Daniel Barrett goes onto the tyre wall, and none of that bothers Michael Spencer, who's now being chased by Tom Sisley. Rather runs the Footmore Park circuit, but that's the victory then for Michael Spencer, his first, and his dad Ronnie, who's an expert in setup, will be absolutely delighted with him and that victory. Now it's Yamaha. Robert Austin with the lead. Marcus Fulcher, very quick all season, is up there. Also going very quickly, Michael Coomber. That's Marcus Fulcher, very much the man to beat in the winter. And Marcus Fulcher, well, doesn't quite take the lead. Rob Austin, who finished number 6 last year, making certain he stays there for the moment. And it's still Fulcher with the lead, 1 lap to go. And it's still Fulcher from Austin, from Michael Coomber, and they slide wide. And that allows Michael Coomber to take the lead. Fulcher trying to get back at Austin. And just behind them now, Andrew Delahunty. But it's still Michael Coomber taking advantage of the other two coming together. Austin in second, and they're going across the line. And the delighted Michael Coomber. Gentleman, Michael, what a good racer. Finished 9 last year, first Ben. Now it's Formula 100B. And taking the early lead, the Fletcher's Frozen Food driver, Graham Melville, who's only just returned to the sport this year after a spell out of it. following a back injury. But Melville has not made the best of starts. The man who has is John Greensmith. And still Greensmith with the lead. Paul O'Zane in second place. See Graham Melville just moving back up the field into third. He won the pre-final, did Melville, but it's John Greensmith who's leading the main one and going through there. There was a touch, but he went through. So now, still John Greensmith, but Graham Melville really asking the question, and I'm afraid that's the end of it for Nick Smith. His challenge is over, but there's Melville through. Melville, a quick look over his shoulder, make sure John Greensmith is there. He needn't have worried, Greensmith will be there right to the end. But not close enough to re-challenge. And Graham Melville becomes the senior 100B Kartmaster. Well, straight on to Clubman's. The pole position man was Phil Hill. He won the pre-final. And he goes through to take the lead. 31, having a look, that's Danny Watts. And it was a good look too, wasn't it? Danny Watts with the lead. And Phil Hill with a bit of work to do now. Oh, there's a problem there for Danny Watts. And now we've got a new leader, it's James Mills. And Mills is not easy to get past. I just proved wrong. Thanks, Murray, for the instruction. And it's David Wanless who has gone into the lead. And back into the battle, or trying very hard to get into it, Phil Hill. And, well, he's climbed to the top of the pile again. So Phil Hill, the Clubman Master at Trent Valley. And now it's on to Senior TKM. Good start from Neil Fowler. He's being pursued there by Simon Steady and David Wright. But at the flag, it's Neil Fowler as the Senior TKM Kartmaster of 1996.
Welcome back to the Paul Fletcher International Circuit for Kartmasters, where we're building to our two grand finals, starting with the cadet class. On pole, the man to beat, Evan Hopkins. Right next to him, the man who could beat him, British champion Lewis Hamilton. Sitting behind him, Chris Rogers. Number 54, Richard Miles, sitting in number 4 position. Number 22, Edward Tilley. And rounding off the top 6, Paul de. Let's see how they get on.
Well, still to come then, two of what are going to be the toughest finals. And this underway now is the cadet. And the man who won the first one, the pre-final, in pole position, Evan Hopkins with the lead. Chris Rogers in second, then Lewis Hamilton in third. It was Edward Tilley in 4th place. We've already had changes. And now the British number 1, Lewis Hamilton, up there. But the red flag has stopped this one. Underway again we go. And again, action replay. Evan Hopkins takes the lead. A tough little character is this. Rogers jockeying, looking for a way round. Hopkins, no doors open there. Rogers again having a look. Hopkins again saying no, but this time can he fend him off? And it's Rogers, what a good little driver. Hopkins. Having a look again. Notice that Lewis Hamilton has dropped back, and it's Nicky Mitchell who's moved up into 3rd spot, demoting Lewis Hamilton to 4th. start and finish. And it's Rogers now going through. Left his braking very late there. Hopkins in second. Still Nicky Mitchell in third. Oh, good move from Rogers. And now Hamilton up into third. Evan Hopkins into fourth. Hamilton was having a look there inside Nicky Mitchell, wheel banging. And Rogers with the benefit of a little bit of a lead from Nicky Mitchell. And now it's Rogers back in the lead. Hopkins still there or thereabouts. Hamilton in third. This is allowing Chris Rogers to get away a little bit. Well, it looks it there. Battling behind they are. Hamilton seemed to come through the middle then. They're experts with their carburetors, these little guys with the 60cc combers. You don't ask Damon Hill to lean over the back and adjust the carburetor. You ask these 8 to 12-year-olds to do it, and they do it to perfection. Or most of them do. Rogers, Hamilton. Hamilton with the inside. And now Hamilton with the lead. Can he hold on to it? His arch rival, Chris Rogers, is asking him the question and putting the pressure on him. But Lewis Hamilton, there's a wise head there on very young shoulders. And both of these two, very brave. Rogers and Hamilton, put a postage stamp over those two. So we've rejoined with 3 laps to go, and for goodness sake, don't bet with the person sitting next to you who's going to win this one, because I can tell you, it could be any of the 3 or 4 battling for the lead. Lewis Hamilton still has it though. Rogers tucked in there. Evan Hopkins, the winner of the pre-final, the pole position man in 3rd place. Paul Darista, 91, don't write him off. You do that at your peril. And Andrew Twiss has joined in. He's not had the best of days, as young Andrew Twiss. But my goodness, he's a battler. But still, Hamilton, Rogers, Hopkins, Darista, Twiss with the watching brief for the moment. And now Rogers, then Hamilton. There's 5 of them so close. Rogers, Hamilton. Still Hopkins is in there. Darista's in there. Twiss is still in 5th. Twiss choosing to go the wide line. While they battle, he can maybe make up something. Rogers has taken the lead again. Hamilton in 2nd. Look over the shoulder of Evan Hopkins, but Rogers looking ahead. This Rogers, oh, how much he'd love to win this one. So too with Evan Hopkins. The man who's got that front seat with a little glance over his shoulder is Lewis Hamilton. He doesn't give much away, does Lewis Hamilton. He can defend like a good one, he can attack like a good one. Twiss dropping back a little from that gap. And now, Hopkins pulls out of the slip. He also goes back into 4th place. We've got 20 up there now. That was Stephen Thompson coming from nowhere. And it's still the battle between the 4 or 5 of them. Oh, three together, and now Stephen Thompson's gone through. What a drive from Stephen Thompson. But he gives away nothing, does he? Straight back there is Lewis Hamilton. Rogers is back there with him. These two must haunt each other. And Hopkins says, don't forget me. But who's going to get that flag? Almost together. Hamilton does it. Little gesture of what a battle from the very sporting Chris Rogers, but Hamilton had it. And the British #1 is the Cadet Kartmaster of '96.
got taken just going into the chicane, and luckily I got in the inside of him and held it tight so nobody could get on the inside. And I knew nobody could get me around the S bends, and so I went straight into the inside on a straight, so it was good.
I got him into the first hairpin, and then I blocked and then moved out. I hit the curb, got on two wheels and came down, and it slowed me out the corner, and then Lewis and number 20 got out and went by.
At the start, I got a bad start, and then I got on the rumble strip back to 14th. I worked my way up, and then it got stopped. And then I had to go back again. And then they started it again, and I came back up. And then they stopped it, and then it was a straight line start, and I got going there, and I worked my way up to third.
And now the Formula A final. Game in pole position. Barriatini, the man next to him. First corner, all important. And somebody's come together there. And Barriatini, it looked like he and David O'Neill came together. And Barriatini's chance of being the Kartmaster is over. O'Neill is in second place. His Tony Kart teammate, Bobby Game, in first. That's another man out, or at least slowing out. And that was 20 Gary Dean. But it's the two Tony Kart man and this man, Fletcher's Frozen Foods driver, Bobby Game, who has the lead. There's Barriatini. Well, it promised much for him after the pre-final, but that promise ended on the first corner. Now, any team orders here? They say not. And Bobby Game and David O'Neill. Maybe the idea is just pull away from the rest if you can, and then have your own little battle when you've sorted the rest of them. Nick Jess, number 7 in third spot, just keeping it on the island. James Hansen. And number 30 there going through, that's Trevor Flynn. But let's have a look back at that first lap incident. There's O'Neill on the inside, and it appears the real coming together is between Barriatini and David Eaton. No doubt about it, Barriatini's challenge was over, but here's another one now, because David O'Neill is demoted into third spot, and the determined Nick Jest into second. And can Jest get past Bobby Game? Yes, he has. So both the O'Neill Racing Tony Kart men are passed, and Nick Jest has the lead. Now Bobby Game to fight back. You can bet on that. Nick Jest to give nothing away. Make no mistake about that either. We've had 3 laps, 12 to go, as Game has a look inside Nick Jest and retakes the lead. Now Nick Jest in the O'Neill Tony Kart sandwich and pops out of that sandwich, but not back into the lead. And I can tell you, there's quite a battle still to come. Well, 3 laps to go, and it's now Game and O'Neill, and it's O'Neill who takes the lead. So no team orders certainly here. Nick Jest is in third place. So these two boys who are on the European and world stage starting to show their class. But also Dean Panrucker up there now, the British Open champion. Still David O'Neill. And still Bobby Game tucked in behind him. And those two have got to be careful they don't slow each other up too much as Bobby Game tries for the inside, gets it again. Every corner one less. And nearly every corner one where O'Neill can mount a challenge, but he's got to be careful that Nick Jest doesn't get on terms with him. Or in fact that Dean Panrucker, who's also very, very capable of coming through, can get up there also. The last lap. O'Neill wants another look. Game gives him nothing. certainly closer now and almost able to make a full challenge. Is he? Oh, they come together, and O'Neill didn't like that. But Jess made his bid, and that's allowed Bobby Game to get away a little bit. And the other Tony Kart driver knows it. I'm sure he knows it. Unless something goes wrong for Bobby Game, that's it. Well, O'Neill has certainly pulled him back a little bit, but it's Bobby Game just keeping it on the island. He knows the side of the checkered flag. He's seen it yet again. And Bobby Game from David O'Neill, Tony Kart from Tony Kart, O'Neill Racing from O'Neill Racing. And all important to the circuit owner, Paul Fletcher, is of course that his driver, Bobby Game, has won.
Well, before the race, we knew it was going to be difficult, basically, because everybody's tyres, the situation with the tyres. We made a change to try and improve it. I don't know whether it made a difference. I haven't seen the lap times yet, but it didn't feel like it actually made a difference. Basically, it was a race of who was going to be in front on the last lap, because slipstreaming down the straight with the wind that it is, it's very easy to overtake. Luckily enough, I held on to the end, really.
Well, as the fastest seniors enjoy their final lap of honour, there's plenty to celebrate too for the youngsters, who I'm sure will be bringing you more action in Kartmasters 97.
Currently over on Sky Sports 2, Worldwide Rugby. On the new Sky Sports 3, next, golf live coverage at the Sprint International. While next here on Sky Sports 1, Sky Sports Centre.